With just days to go until its bailout expires, there is still no deal in sight. And Greece's creditors have reportedly proposed a 5-month extension and a $17.3 billion worth of funding. But is that a long-term solution? Or is that really just another Band-Aid?
Or a can, whatever metaphor you want to use.
Yes.
Joining us now, Bloomberg News stocks editor-at-large, Mike Regan, and from Athens, Alex Costopoulos. He is CEO of Foresight Strategy and Communications. Mike, let's start with you. The investor community seems to expect that this will drag on for another few days, another few weeks, another few months, another few years. To what extent are you reading in the research that you follow daily any sense of shock or surprise that it has dragged on for as long as it has?
Well, yeah, certainly no one is too surprised that it's dragged on and then we're getting another kick of the can down the road. The market's today obviously reacting a little pretty positively in the U.S. To this news of a proposal on the table. I think ultimately, the U.S. stock market's stuck in this range here, and it's hard for me to imagine any outcome in Greece really dragging it too far out of the range either way, one way or the other. A lot of people are bringing up the comparison to Lehman Brothers. I think Zero Hedge had a story out today saying, this is the Lehman weekend for Greece, possibly. But I feel like there's a little bit of hyperbole there. If you look at, for example, the amount of credit default swaps out on Greece is about $500 million. Lehman, it was hundreds of billions of dollars. All the Greek debt is basically owned by the IMF and governments. So, what the contagion is, it's obviously a big question what that contagion is in the private investor market from a potential default. But, it's one of those unknowns that Donald Rumsfeld used to talk about. But in the long run, I feel like the Lehman comparison might be a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, maybe a bit of a stretch, but nonetheless, you make the point that what's going on in Greece, Pim, is good for the markets because it keeps a rally in check, if anything.
I think that's a valid comparison. Yeah, I mean, you think this market could possibly be called exuberant, but certainly not irrational exuberant at the valuations we've seen. And Greece has been one of those things that's sort of that lingering in the background wall of worry that has possibly kept this market from getting too exuberant.
All right, I want to bring in Alex Costopoulos. He joins us from Athens, where he is the chief executive of Foresight Strategy. So, Alex, be a fly on the wall with the Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras. What are they talking about and what's at stake?
Well, I can definitely hope that they are talking on how we can reach our own lap of victory with not a Band-Aid, yet another Band-Aid. I think the majority of the people here are extremely frustrated and disappointed by the standoff. We need all parties to find the courage and the logic to reach a constructive and realistic solution, an agreement that can actually get implemented in the following months and allow the economy, allow the private sector, the business community to do what we do best, to generate wealth, to create things. But this thing is completely paranoid what we live these days, and we definitely hope that tomorrow it's going to be a better day.
Hopefully. You talk about how private sector should be left to do what it does best, move ahead, make decisions. Business is driven by trust. There's questions certainly about the level of trust in the government right now as they negotiate with their creditors. Do you, as a businessman, as a representative of the private sector, trust Greek banks? Do you trust other Greek companies that they can do their end, they can uphold their end of the bargain?
Well, I think we have to go back to the fundamentals. The trust is being built and is being gained every day with what we do. Over the last years, we've seen repeatedly that what has actually failed us, it is the unwillingness, incompetence, anyway, the lack of the right policies from the government, and not only our government. Europe has a share in this mess too. I believe that it's imperative to be able to regain the credibility of the business community, and unfortunately at this point this whole situation created an unbelievable obstacle for anyone to do anything else. It's logical that our international partners, our colleagues, our friends are reluctant to do business in an ecosystem where you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow morning. And to be honest, an ecosystem that more or less it's been driven by people that they are not that much related with the real economy. They're either politicians or academia, and with all due respect to all of them, I think at some point we need to focus to actually what the real business community, the employees, the entrepreneurs know, and how we can work with them. We need a bold alliance of all stakeholders here in order to be able to move forward.
Alex Costopoulos, give us your best estimate. You talk about the real economy. When does the money for the real economy run out if they don't get an agreement this weekend?
Well, I have two daughters, a business, employees. My best estimate is that wiser minds will prevail, and tomorrow they will reach some kind of agreement. We need to find the courage to implement that decision, to stop getting stuck with political agendas and obsolete mindsets that up to now we have entrapped ourselves with these two, and to focus on the real issues. And the real issues is to tackle the structural problems that we have in Greece and move forward.
All right, well put. Alex Costopoulos joining us from Athens. He is CEO and founder of Foresight Strategy, and of course Bloomberg's Mike Regan, editor-at-large for our stocks coverage.